Alright, this is Dave Stitt, and I'm here to show you a little bit about how I'm using Schoology in my chemistry classroom. Now, Schoology is a learning management system, so when I go to the staff portal, I would click on Teachers and Substitutes over here towards the little Schoology icon. Once I click on the Schoology icon, it'll take me over to the account. Now this is where all of my students go in from here on out. So my class has been flipped upside down. As you see on the teacher landing page, there's quite a bit going on, but I'm going to take you right into one of the classes to just kind of show you how things are working in the class. As you get into the class, the students see an updates page. This kind of lands them on anything that's happening. This is kind of like an announcement page that I would go through and give in class. So this is where I'll post things that I want them to be aware of, or if, like you could see right here, I was sick, this is where I can actually give the students a note, even though I'm not in class, of what it is they need to be doing. Now for the student, if they wanted to see what was going on after a class, let's say they missed a day, they would go over here to click on the calendar, and that calendar would take them back through the entire month to see what's coming up and what they've already done. So say they missed last Wednesday, they would go over here and click on Wednesday. It would give them a synopsis of the period and where they would need to go for an assignment to look it up. I tell them where to go instead of actually posting the assignment here, because if I post another assignment here, it takes it and puts it into the grade book. So I can link things here in the announcements, or I could just give them an idea of where to find them. So when it comes to actual instruction, they go over to the materials list, and this is how I set the class up, and it's in a flipped format. So all of my units are posted here with interactive lessons. So if you go into Unit 4, I have it organized into categories. The actual lessons and practice problems. So this is the information and material, but this is not the graded folder. Then I have practice quizzes, and any type of exams or summative tests are here. I've got activities or projects that we do in the classroom. And then finally, for my chemistry class, I have the labs. If you go to the lessons and the practice problems, each one of the lessons has either a set of cheat sheet notes or practice problems that would go along with it. Now, unfortunately, Schoology is still in the process of making it so that you can organize these into a hierarchy. So instead of being able to indent this over to show that it would be under Lesson 1, I have to put a couple of dashes here just to make it so that it's all not in one big straight list. That gets a little bit confusing. But each lesson, if you click on the lesson itself, so if you went on the types of reactions, what I've been able to do is give a little synopsis of what it is, and I can pull in a YouTube video that plays directly within the media right there. So if you click on this, my sound's off, but you'd be able to go and post in any type of media off of YouTube. Is very easy to integrate. And the nice thing is that it all stays within this browser so that it doesn't take them to YouTube and they don't get distracted trying to search for cat videos after they're done. After that, you can pull in any type of lesson. You can import pictures. This is a dynamic sheet, so you can have links that go out to other practice. You can even embed HTML5 simulations right in with this page so they see everything without actually leaving and going outside of your classroom page. So it gives you a bit of control of the explanation and what resources the students can access. But it also allows you to link over anything else that you'd like to. So as they go through and they look at the information, I then try to give them a little bit of practice along through here. So I give them some practice problems and the answers along with it, just to give them a taste of what would be coming up. And then finally at the very end, I could have a summary tutorial video that I also pull out of YouTube in order for them to take a look and get that presentation in a video format. So for my visual learners, they're able to have somebody, if not me, then somebody else who I've vetted along through the internet, do an explanation of that same material. And it's actually quite powerful. So you're able to hit your audio, your visual, and your students who are able to just read and grasp material. And the nice thing is that this now makes it so that if a student needs extra information, they can come to the lesson in Schoology. If someone missed a class, it's all right there. And the way that I'm flipping my classroom is that I'll spend a little bit of time presenting information, but then I'll push them straight into Schoology. And instead of actually giving them the information, I will help them once they've taken notes on this material. I'll help them with the practice problems. So if we go back over to the practice problems, there's a couple of different ways you can do practice problems in here. For example, when I look at balancing equations, I've gone through and I've made varying levels of practice problems, and you can pull in a PDF that you already have so you don't have to retype it all. Or you could go through and you can turn this into a downloadable assignment that they would fill out and then upload it back to you. They would resubmit it right back to you, so that you have a paperless way to grade your classroom. For me, I always like to give practice problems, and then I like to give them the answers right after for them to go through and check how it was that they did. So students will have more than enough practice and the answer keys that go along with the practice. Since practice in my class is not graded, it allows them to get the skills they need in order to show me what they can do on a quiz. So let me take you quickly to what a quiz would look like in this particular section. Now the quiz, one thing I like to do with Schoology and something that's been a phenomenal change with this classroom is that I've been able to give them a quiz, and I've been able to give them a practice quiz before their real quiz. So they can get an understanding now that I've done some practice. This is what I can do on the quiz. So when I go through, I can set up a question bank that allows me to pull random question sets out of those question banks. I type in a bunch of questions. So in this particular one, I've made 88 questions, and I'm going to pull 4 random questions out of that set. So out of that particular question set, they'll get something that looks like this that covers from the lesson, and they'll be able to take a multiple choice test that will show them, let me pull up a question here, that will show them the different options and which one was correct or which one was not. Since this is a randomized test, I could give them an infinite amount of practice, all because it's pulling out of the same question bank, but it scrambles the answers for me, and it scrambles the order if I want them to do that. So they can have a practice test with almost as much generated possibilities as having a random generator pulled from the internet. Once they're ready for the practice, once they're comfortable with the practice quiz, they can then go back and go for the actual graded quiz. Now when they look at the graded quiz, I've got options here. So I have it set much like I do for my practice test, but then I take the settings and I put a time limit on it. So it's going to only have a 55-minute, that way they can't take and spend hours searching upon the internet. And then I can also make it so that it's due by a certain time. So this one was due before Thanksgiving. They were to take it on the 24th, and I opened it up in class, and I had it closed down that night at 11:59 p.m. You can set it so that you would make it so it locks down their browsers so that they wouldn't be able to see anything except the exam. If they leave that browser, it would close their exam. You could set it to where it's resumable, so it would be able to, they'd be able to start it in class, finish it outside of class. Or you could set it so that they'd have multiple attempts, and you can decide whether or not you'd like to take their highest score or their last score or average their scores, all within Schoology. Remember, once again, this allows me to pull random question sets so that if they have another attempt, it actually is not the same quiz, and it's not in the same order. So just by going through and re-clicking everything, they're not going to be able to go through and copy someone else's quiz. It gives an individualized quiz, which is fantastic. It also allows you to very easily give students second chances. Now for me, in order for them to get a retake on a graded quiz, they have to score an A on the practice quiz. So if they didn't take the practice quiz first, but they scored poorly on the actual test, I make them go back and do more practice, all of which is pre-graded for them. It doesn't take any extra work on the teacher part, but it gives them the opportunity to go back, relearn the material, review the lessons if need be in the material section, and then go through and show me what they can do by taking the practice quiz. Now, as far as grading, you'll see over here that I have some assignment submissions that need to be graded. I created an assignment which they grabbed a Google Doc out of that I had created. They copied a Google document down and they filled it in and returned it in to me. So let me take a quick peek at what that would look like. When that comes to me and it's time for me to do my grading, I don't have to collect a lab book. I don't collect a piece of paper. If they've submitted it, it logs it for me right here, and it logs it if it's late or if it's on time. So when I go to the grading, I click on the name of the person I'm going to grade. It pulls up a preview of what it was that they went through, and their task was to fill in this particular section of some identifying reaction types. And I could see if they went through and did the assignment completely, or if they went through and started it but did not finish it, or if there was a problem within the assignment. Once I go through and I review that particular assignment, I'm able to assign a grade to it right here. And I'm just going to give you a quick example. And if I put a comment next to the grade, that actually puts a comment into the grade book. So if I want to leave a comment just for a student, I would go over here and post in and just say, great job, or this needs to be looked at again, or you need to complete numbers 5 through 15. Whatever you want to put over here, this would be a conversation that you would have to the student about that grade. Or if it turns out that they didn't complete it and you would like them to resubmit it, you can tell them very quickly what it is they changed and what it is they need to do, and then they could resubmit it back into Schoology. Now, if they do go through and fix something, when they resubmit it, it will pop up as, instead of needs grading, it'll pop up as a resubmission, and it gives you a little notification so that when you go back, you'll have a little notification of one resubmitted assignment. And so you can click on that and it'll take you right over to the student who resubmitted it. So you don't have to thumb through to see who changed something. It will automatically let you know. So that's just a little bit of an introduction to some of the power of Schoology. I hope that if you have any questions, you can dive in a little bit deeper. I'd be happy to help you, but enjoy.